And now, here is the man who will show you how to feel better, look better, Jack LaLanne.
If you know the name Jack LaLanne, chances are you know him as that workout guy who had the exercise TV show from the 1950s up through the 80s. But the truth is, Jack LaLanne was a lot more than a TV personality. He was a legendary fitness icon, and part of that legendary status was actually a bunch of insane feats with calisthenics. For example, Jack once set a record for handstand push-ups. He did 100 handstand push-ups freestanding in less than 6 minutes. Actually, 5 minutes and 57 seconds to be precise. Like, just think about that. Imagine doing 100 freestanding handstand push-ups in less than 6 minutes. I can't even wrap my head around that. I mean, obviously his form wasn't perfect. If you're gonna do that many reps in 6 minutes, it's gonna be kind of fast and sloppy, but still, just the amount of strength and conditioning required to do that and balance to stay in a handstand for 6 minutes practically the entire time, that alone is amazing. Now, Jack was actually quite fond of hand balancing. All right, he did handstands well into his golden years, but also Jack would perform. He would do hand balancing performances. I've even seen him doing handstands on rings. And for any of you who've tried to get inverted on rings, you know that is no easy feat. Another example, in 1956, when he was 42 years old, he did 1,033 push-ups in just 23 minutes, breaking the current world record at the time. Now, that's only 3 years older than me, all right? And I could not imagine doing 1,000 push-ups in 23 minutes. Like, I'm nowhere near that level. So it just goes to show how ahead of his time Jack really was. He was really pushing the envelope even back in the 1950s. He was like the 1950s version of David Goggins.
Don't give him a trophy. Please participate. Stay hard. Stay in the fight.
Jack even invented his own type of push-up. It's known as the Lan Push Up, where you basically do push-ups in a full extended plank, so it really works your core. And he was known for doing those as well into his old age. In fact, he worked out for nearly 2 hours a day, every day, all the way until he passed away at age 96. He was known for that. That was his thing. He worked out every day. Now, in his 20s, Jack went through a bodybuilding phase, as a lot of us do, right? When we're younger, like in our early 20s, we want to bulk up and be really big. Jack wanted to be Mr. Olympia or Mr. Universe, whatever it was at the time. And he was lifting a lot of weights, but he's actually, like, throughout his life, he was a hybrid athlete. He was always doing a mix of calisthenics and weights. Now, on the weight side of things, a lot of the machines, like the pulley machines that you still see at gyms today, were actually invented by Jack. He invented a bunch of machines. He also was one of the first people to open what we call gyms. But back then, I think he called them like physical culture studios or fitness culture studio. I forget, but he invented what we know as gyms today. But he was always incorporating calisthenics, even in those younger years when he was bodybuilding. His pull routine included front lever pull-ups, and his push routine included handstand push-ups. So he was always including those. And he also was known to show up at Muscle Beach and to do tons of push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups.
I think literally 3 days after I came to America in 1968, I saw him on Muscle Beach. I don't know if you remember that, Jack. And you were doing push-ups and sit-ups for 1.5 hours straight without stopping, going back and forth, push-ups and sit-ups, push-ups and sit-ups. And then he added another 1,000 chin-ups to that. So he's an extraordinary man this year. He has served with me on the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports and on the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. There's literally no one that has promoted fitness all over the world more than Jack LaLanne. Another big hand for the great leader in fitness.
So Jack got accolades from Arnold. In fact, I don't know if this is true or not, but I forget where I read this. I heard that Jack actually beat Arnold at Muscle Beach in a pull-up contest. And he was nearly twice his age at the time. I think Arnold was like 21 or 24, and Jack was in his 50s. And he beat Arnold in a pull-up contest. But again, I don't know if that's true. I would believe it, though, because Jack was an absolute beast. I could keep going on with examples, but I think one of the coolest things is that every year on his birthday, Jack would do an incredible feat. And one of the most noteworthy was on his 70th birthday. Jack swam 1.5 miles off the California coast, handcuffed and shackled, while towing 70 rowboats full of people behind him. Just imagine that. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, the amount of training that would have to go into it. His wife, Elaine, and yes, her name's Elaine LaLanne, it's kind of funny. she said that in preparation for those feats, like he would get into the bathtub and fill it with water, and she'd have to pour ice in the bathtub for him. So he was actually conditioning his body for the cold water, right? So Jack was doing things like cold exposure, and that's all stuff that we're hearing about nowadays. And Jack was doing it 70 years ago, or whenever that was. That might have been, 40 or 50 years ago, but still, like really impressive stuff. Jack was way ahead of his time. I wanted to make this quick video because I feel like especially the younger generations, like all the millennials and Gen Zs, might not even know who Jack was. Do you know who Jack LaLanne was? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know how many of you knew about him and how many didn't. Because Jack was really like inspirational, especially for me. If you're new to my channel, you might want to check out some of my older videos. You'll see me doing things like pull-ups on my staircase, for example, and just using stuff all throughout the house. Maybe chairs, doing dips or L-sits on chairs, even push-ups, using my couch for different exercises. And a lot of that comes from Jack. On his TV show, he would do the same thing. He'd sit in a chair and say, hey guys, follow along. Kids, get your mothers over here.
That's the way, the other leg. Now let's go. It's good for the thigh and the tummy. Now both together. That's our bicycle gymnastic. Come on now, good.
And that was his show. It was just working out at home, just making the most of whatever you got around the house and doing calisthenics. So Jack was obviously a huge inspiration for me, not just on the exercise front, but also on the nutritional front. Because you guys know, here on Minus the Gym, I like to preach a plant-based diet. That's what I follow. High raw, like lots of raw fruits and vegetables. And that's also what Jack was into. Like when he was bodybuilding in his younger years, he was eating a lot of meat. I think that's kind of the standard, especially back then. But as he got older, like into his 30s and 40s, he adopted like a pescatarian diet and then went vegetarian in his older years. He saw the value of that. And he was actually known for having his own line of juicers, the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. And I used to see these infomercials on TV where he was talking about the importance of juicing raw fruits and vegetables every day. He understood this. It's all in his books. I can recommend, probably my favorite book of his was his last one. It's called Live Young Forever. And he explains how he recommends eating 10 vegetables, 10 different raw vegetables every day, plus fruits, having a few fruits throughout the day. But I just wanted to make this video, guys, so you can see who Jack LaLanne was and where a lot of my inspiration comes from for this channel. Because Jack, like I said, he was a huge inspiration, and we even have kind of similar stories. Like, I was sick in my mid-20s. I had high blood pressure, heartburn, halitosis, which is like chronic bad breath. I had cystic acne, I had like digestive issues. I had a lot of things going wrong with me after about 9 years of bodybuilding, right? 9 years of lifting heavy weights and eating a very high protein diet that did not do well for my body. And a friend of mine taught me how to eat a raw plant-based diet, and it just fixed everything. Literally everything was better in a matter of weeks. And Jack went through the same thing. He was a sick teenager eating he called himself a junk food junkie. He ate just a lot of candy and soda and junk like that, white bread and stuff, because he didn't understand nutrition. He was actually coached by Paul and Patricia Bragg. You might know of them from Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and they're a brand that you still see in the stores nowadays. But he was brought up on stage during a seminar and coached by the Braggs, and he was taught the importance of raw food, and then he embraced that and healed his body and then became the legendary fitness icon that we know. So I thought that was really cool that me and Jack kind of share that same boost at the beginning with raw food. And like I said, he's just a huge inspiration. I hope you guys see why I do what I do here on the channel. And speaking of that, if you want to learn more from me, that subscribe button is somewhere down there around this video. Just make sure you tap that, turn on notifications, and you'll hear from me soon in the next video. All right? I'll talk to you then.
May the good Lord bless and keep you too.
Bye, mother. Bye, boys and girls. See you tomorrow. Have fun now. Bye-bye. Give me a kiss. Bye-bye.